Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here for RRF1's turn of attacking the hills, the fast corners, the windy roads, the speed of Spa-Francorchamps here in Belgium. One of my favourite all-time tracks. It is danger. The weather always plays a part, and there's been some incredible races in real life and, of course, on the game, which is what we are here for tonight. It is sprint weekend, or sprint night, should we say? It's obviously not a weekend. It's a Monday night. Sprint night here in RRF1. So we have short qualifying instead of full qualifying. We will then have an 8-lap sprint around Spa, followed by the usual 22-lap 50% race. Just get the standings up for a moment for you. There we go. So Dartmark and Kamarov leapfrogging the absent Master Spread and Bacon Soda last week around Vegas. Master Spread again not racing tonight. I believe that's his third race, so he has effectively ruled himself out of contention as far as I believe. But we do have the returning Bacon Soda, if I remember correctly. Let me see if he is on there. He is. He needs to pick a car, but he's there. So Bacon Soda hoping to return back to the top tonight. He is 10 points behind the Dartmark. Mr. Kamarov is racing. He is there in his Williams. So we do have Dartmark, Kamarov and Bacon Soda all racing tonight, as well as the winner of the last two races, the German superstar, Danny 1499. Danny, of course, has had two incredible drives, making a comeback drive around Zandvoort, starting near the back, or at the back. And then after an incident in Vegas, came back to get the win on the last lap last week, which was, incredible stuff. Always creates entertainment. Ewan, currently, so he's here tonight. He is in 5th in the championship. He came 6th last time out. Atkins, is he back? He is not, so no Atkins. Apex is back. So Apex currently 7th in the championship, 52 points. He'll be looking to see if he can close the gap on Ewan. Hambo, I believe, is not racing tonight. Neither is Rara due to personal reasons. Look at the Constructors' Championship. Look at that. Round 9, sorry. We've had 8 races so far. Williams and McLaren are level pegging. So tonight you have Kamarov and Betches for Williams. You have Retro Ghost and Bacon Soda driving for McLaren. So it should be an interesting fight in the Constructors' Championship. Aston Martin not far behind tonight. They have Hyper Igniter back. And I believe that's it, because I think Master Spread is the other Aston Martin driver and he is not racing. I think we are expecting a full grid or close to full grid tonight, made up sort of half of full-time drivers, half of reserves. So great to see people jumping in to fill up the grid. We do have a couple of drivers in tonight that you may recognise from the esports world, of course. Who doesn't know? If you're into your F1 virtual world and your esports racing, who doesn't know big old Purple Plum, TGT Plum, incredibly quick driver. Him and Bacon Soda, I imagine, will be going toe-to-toe along with Danny and Kamarov. You've got Boulange up there as well. So some very, very quick drivers. People are starting to ready up, so we'll join the track very shortly, see whether the weather will play nice or not. Obviously, everyone here, or I'd imagine most of you know the circuit, or should know the circuit by now. It is arguably one of the most famous ones in motorsport. Main overtaking opportunities, of course, turn 5. That's your main one. So going down the Kemmel Straight, you'll get the DRS. You fly through Eau Rouge to get the move done into turn 5. We do sometimes see some moves heading towards the chicane at 12 and 13, if you can remain close enough around 10 and 11. And then, of course, you've got the long drag. No DRS, but the long drag towards the final bus stop chicane, turn 18 and 19, where if you're brave enough, hang it around the outside of the long left-hander and throw one up the inside of the chicane. You don't really want to be overtaken into turn 1 because you give the car behind DRS. So you'll probably find cars will likely stay behind. Get the stream up and running now. Oh, Hambo has made it, sorry. So Hambo is racing. So there's some very, very quick drivers here tonight. Boulange I've raced numerous times. Very quick. Dartmark, super consistent. Obviously, you've got the likes of Mr. Kamarov, one of the quickest guys I race against. Plum, an alien among aliens. Who else have we got? Of course, Bacon Soda, super fast. There is a mistake in him now and again, but he's super, super fast. And Danny, as I said, has won the last 2 races, but he will have his work cut out tonight with the likes of Bacon returning and, of course, Plum racing for Alfa Romeo. It does appear to be a dry qualifying. I do apologise if I sound a little bit nasally tonight. I am currently battling away to fight off the dreaded man flu. It's not fully taken over yet, but I feel like it's on a knife edge. So we'll see whether I win or whether man flu leaves me bedridden for days and not having to go to work. Oh, it would be terrible. Anywho, we have an AlphaTauri who's going to be our first man out, so we will do a hot lap with the AlphaTauri. I've had Liam Lawson driving for them in real life for the last couple of weekends, and you know what? He's looking like a pretty good driver. I'm quite liking Liam Lawson. He seems like a safe pair of hands. I do like Danny Rick, but I do fear that if Liam Lawson keeps performing pretty well, that he may give old Helmut Marko something to think about. Evening, Mark. Hope you're doing good. Hopefully the race is entertaining as your office job. I work in a call centre myself, and I've got to say I would really like to be watching this in my office job, but I would get in significant amounts of trouble. Considering I manage the team, I have to set a good example. So we still have Big Perry leading the way on the outlap. He does have a Williams all over his rear end, though. So who is going to be our first man over the line? Is it going to be the AlphaTauri or the Williams? Who is that Williams anyway? Oh, it's Mr. Kamarov. Oh, of course, it's Mr. Oh, look at that, coming out of the pit lane. Bit of a traffic jam there coming out of the Spa pits. But they're all good. Bacon Soda's at the back of that little trio. Behind, I think it's Plum. But we're back with, we'll go for an onboard. Oh, that is unfortunate. Big Perry, who just jumped on board. The Platypus has gone to start his flying lap and absolutely bottled it. So we will not be following him around. We'll be following Mr. Kamarov, who will do our first flying lap. Out of turn 1, ride the curb. You do tend to get a little bit more grip if you just put a couple of wheels onto the outside curb. You'll be flat through a rouge. Yeah, no hint of a lift. Cut some curb on the left-hand side. You'll stay right here around the kink and then move your car over towards the left. Avoids the Alpine there. Not wanting any sort of a toe, but he's probably got a bit too slow for a toe anyway. Use a bit of curb on the right to throw his car into that tricky chicane. Plenty of curb on the right hand as you head towards this horrible downhill right-hander. Nice so far from Mr. Kamarov with the yellow flag, as I believe that's the AlphaTauri getting out of the way. Into the corner with no name, hang it out to the right-hand side. On the last game, you could take the esports line and put 2 wheels onto that AstroTurf. You can't on this game. Ooh, flirts with the curb there. Probably lose a little bit of time, a few tenths there. Not quite the entry he would have wanted. Going to this tricky sort of right-left scenario of corners before we get to the 290 rights. Hangs out to the curb. It's looking a good lap so far, this from Sergeant Kamarov, hoping to regain the lead of the championship, or hoping to take the lead of the championship after a disappointing time in Las Vegas. But flat to the floor then. Yeah, F1's a lot more important. I agree, Mark. F1 should take priority over everything. Into the bus stop chicane and hits the curb on the left hand side, hits the curb on the left. Avoids the curb on the right, gets the traction down, and it's a good opening lap of 42.1 for Mr. Kamarov. I believe we have a Haas coming round next, which is Ransdal. Round the final corner it comes in. What can he do against Kamarov's time? It is going to be a 1 minute 42.1. He is 400ths or 3.5 hundredths of a second away from Kamarov. As I believe we have another Haas coming across the line, which will be LMB Strikes. He's just starting a lap. We have a Red Bull. No, we don't. We have a Ferrari. Is it A72? It is not, but we'll stay with A72 as he comes to the line. See what he can manage. Ah, of course, they've got the new Monza livery for... I'll tell you what, it looks better in the game than it did in real life. That is a sexy livery on the Ferrari. And he comes across the line. A72 does a 43.9. We have the Red Bull next of Alifawad. Oh, Alifawad Khan. Sorry. So Alifawad Khan. Oh no, it was Apex. A 144.0. I apologise. We have an Aston Martin coming across next. That will be Hyper Igniter. Hyper Igniter does a 142.8 to go P3 overall so far. There is a McLaren coming across the line, but I'm going to miss that. It's Bacon Soda with a 141.2. Absolutely smashing people to bits as Mr. Plum. So they have not got the Monza livery for Alfa Romeo. It's just Ferrari that looks like Cody's have released the Alfa Romeo Monza livery for. We do have a Mercedes coming across next. This is Belange. No, it's not. It is his teammate Ewan who's on an outlap. So we'll stay with Belange then. Just the final chicane to navigate for the Mercedes driver. And it's short qualifying tonight. It is not full qualifying because it is a sprint race. So you have, gets a little bit onto the curb, loses the rear, and it's a 42.2. Probably lost a bit of time there. Probably cost him P3. But that is just his first lap so far. So they will try and get... Some drivers may go for a third lap, but I would imagine most will go for 2 attempts. Currently on an outlap we have, I think, Big Perry, who made that mistake before. He's managed to get around cleanly this time. He's going to come across the line. He does a 1 minute 43.1 to put himself P9 overall for now. And the Ferrari of Whitey is just 143.969 to slot in ahead of Apex. And who else do we have? I think we've got Ewan on a lap. Or is it Retro Ghost next? So Retro Ghost. Ewan next round on a lap. Nice line there through the corner with no name. Doesn't keep it as tight as we've seen some drivers around there. Everyone will have their own line, of course, to see which is your fastest way through there. Looks like a clean lap so far from Ewan. Of course, anyone has the chat in the chat has any predictions, let me know. Who do you think is going to steal the pole, get the sprint? Oh, and it's an invalidation for Ewan. So Ewan is not going to go any faster than that. Do we have anyone else on a lap? Scott is 7 tenths down, so he's not going to be improving. LMB does not appear to be pushing particularly hard. There is a Ferrari pushing quite hard there, though. We'll go back to that in a second. Belange is not pushing, and so I think it will just be a Ferrari. It is. It's A72 who is fractionally up on his time so far. So he has gone for a second push lap. Currently P12 and P13 for the two Ferraris, separated by just 0.03 of a second. Very close indeed. "13 people watching so far, so thank you all so much for tuning in and enjoying some Formula One with me on this fine Monday evening. This hot, sweaty night. The heat has returned with a vengeance, that's for sure. Final 2 corners then for A72M. Round he comes. What can he manage? He'll be wanting to try and improve and get into the earlier 43s or the mid 43s, and he does. Takes him P10 overall so far. I think Ewan is on a lap. Where is he? There he is. Ewan with that Max Verstappen helmet. What are you doing? A Max Verstappen helmet in a Mercedes. Nope, nope, don't like. Do not like that. Sorry, Ewan. Either get rid of the helmet or change teams. Maybe not at this. Maybe not while you're driving. You know, keep the helmet on while you're driving. Safety first, as the old hedgehogs used to say on that King of the Road advert. If anyone is as old as me to remember that. Anywho, less about age, more about racing. There is a Haas coming around as well, but he's on an outlap, so we don't need to watch that. So this is going to be the next flying lap. So Ewan is about to complete the second sector, see what his split is, and of course he's not set a time yet, has he? So this will be his first flying lap. Scott has left the session, so I need to get an invite. Let's just watch the final lap from Ewan. See if it comes across the line. What can he get into the 42s? Just misses out. 43.1 puts in P9 overall. Let me just get an invite back to Scott. Oh, I can't. Why can't I? Okay, Scott, if you're watching, I cannot invite you. I think you are on PlayStation, so you'll have to get Dark Mark or someone to drop you an invite, sorry. Okay, so we do have Danny on a lap, actually. So he has won the last two races. He's just on. Let's go on board with the man who's won the last two races here in RRF1, both Zandvoort and Vegas. Zandvoort with a thrilling recovery, and Vegas with a last lap move on Kamarov. As just seen Kamarov pop in a lap there to go second so far with a 141.5 and go ahead of Plum. Danny goes purple in sector 1, but misses the apex there at the end of the Kemmel straight. Just loses the rear just a little bit. He's got speed, but he's got a little bit twitchy on the rear of that AlphaTauri. Oh, the rear of that car does not look planted, does it? That looks scary. This is the curb on the left, keeps it nice and tight, foot flat to the floor. Down to 5th. This did go down to 4th there, just for the traction, but he's gone down to 5th. Obviously not confident with the rear of the AlphaTauri. It does look a little bit loose. Looks like he's got himself all nice and composed now. He's still showing purple in sector 2, but we know about the middle sector glitch on these F1 games. We have no idea if that is indeed the fastest sector 2 or not. He was purple in sector 1. Final couple of corners to navigate then for the AlphaTauri. Danny then coming around. What can he manage? He'll be wanting to get into the 41s with the top 4 at the moment. Final corner, he comes out. It's going to be a 1 minute 42.0. Goes P5 for now. That's a good first lap for Danny. He'll be pretty happy with that, considering the sketchy moments he may have had. We've also got Mr. Plum coming around now. He is currently quarter of a second up on his time. He's hoping to try and challenge Bacon Soda for that P1 spot to start on sprint pole, if you will. Of course, different rules in this sprint than it is in real life for this season. They're still following the 2022 rules, and he does a 141.252 and a lovely pirouette over the line. That was skillful from Mr. Plum. I did like that. That was very tasty. We've got Bacon coming around as well. He is currently 200ths of a second up. Who else is coming around? We've got, let's say, Ramsdale. I don't know much about Ramsdale, but he put in a good first effort, and he's slightly up on his time on the second effort. So we'll see what he can manage as he comes across the line. Apologies if I've missed anyone's laps. Oh, and he's bailed out, so Ramsdale not happy with the time he was about to put in. We do have a Ferrari of Whitey, I believe, come around. Oh, Whitey runs wide but doesn't invalidate. What's he going to do? He comes across the line. It's a 1 minute 43.606, so he does improve. He's now P14 for Whitey. We've got an AlphaTauri coming across the line next. So that's Danny's going to be coming into the pits, I imagine. I know it's the other AlphaTauri, Big Perry, who's in the pits. There he is. So there's a Red Bull next. Who is in the Red Bull? Apex is already in the pits. So it must be Ali Fawad Khan, who is also coming into the pits. So he's on a 142.1 so far. So good effort from Ali. A couple of drivers here I'm not as familiar with, so it looks like they've got some new recruits, both Ramsdale and Ali, I'm not as familiar with. LMB Strikes, I think I've seen him race before. If it's the LMB I'm thinking of, he can be very quick. We do have a McLaren coming around, which will be Retro Ghost. Am at the moment still in the pits. He's the only one that hasn't set a time as of yet. Then coming around the final two corners. What can the McLaren driver manage? Oh, a little bit tentative as he comes around the final corner. What's it going to be? He's a 44.9 at the moment. There's a 45.0, so no improvement there for Retro Ghost. We do have a Mercedes coming around next, which will be Mr. Blanche. He is invalidated, so he comes into the pits. So through next will be... So Betches is on an outlap. Scott is starting. Here we go. The floor is yours, Mr. Scott. So let's see what you can manage. I believe he runs with no line as well, so very impressive there. The drivers that run with no line are not human. Wait, how do you know where to go? Seriously. So Scott then coming through Eau Rouge, foot to the floor. No lift there, it's just the engine struggling in that Alpine. It's not a fan, is it, of speed? It's the old Alpine engine as we saw at Monza. Plenty of speed down the Kemmel straight though, 213 mile an hour. Low wing setup for quite a few drivers, I'd imagine here. Looking very good so far for Scott. A little bit wide, but you can sometimes get a bit more speed on the exit if you take the wider line through there. It out wide to the curb. McLaren getting well out of the way there. Good to see. No blockages, please. A little bit of a lift. Knocks it down to 7th. Foot back to the bottom of the floor. Back up to 8th. Nice kiss of the curb there. This is looking very good so far from Scott. Alpine driver just misses the apex on the right-hander. Then you've got foot will be flat to the floor all the way to the chicane now, which is why it's so important to get a good run through those two corners so that you're not scrubbing off speed, because it will affect you all the way down. This is looking very good so far from Scott. See what time he can manage as he heads towards the chicane. There's plenty of curb on the left, which is the curb, sorry, that was the right, then the left. Comes across the line, so it's going to be a 1 minute 43.0 for Scott in the Alpine. 12th place so far, just a couple of hundreds or a few hundredths off Dark Mark, and nice bit of drifting there from Scott as he comes around the final corner. Everyone now on outlaps. A72 is 12 seconds down, so he won't be improving. Betches has invalidated. Apex is 5.8 seconds down, so he's not going to be improving. So who's going to be our first person on a lap then? Is it Bacon or is it Kamarov? It's Kamarov and then Bacon. So this is where you make your money. We're into the last seconds here of qualifying. And can Kamarov put a challenge to the front two? The front two separated by just half a tenth. 500ths of a second separating the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo at the front. Mr. Kamarov, of course, trying to spoil their fun and get a place on that front row. What can he manage? We're coming up to the first sector. Oh, we passed the first sector split and I missed it. So I have no idea if he's up. I was too busy jabbering away. Looking nice and tidy so far from the Duracell battery. The Williams. Little lift down. Flicks it down to 7th. That looked quick right through there. You can see the difference some drivers take. Like we saw Scott had a little bit more of a lift than what Kamarov just did. And the line that he took to there was pretty spot on and gets here as far wide to the curb he can. He is using all of the track possible and he is on for a good lap. He's almost 2/10 up at the moment. If he can keep this kind of improvement going, he could take provisional pole away from Bacon Soda. We'll jump to Bacon Soda after this. He is going to be next across the line, followed by an AlphaTauri. We think will either be Danny or who's the other AlphaTauri? Big Perry. Final two corners, you've just got to keep it together. Car getting well out of the way there, which is nice to see. Cross the line he goes. It's a 1 minute 41.3 for Kamarov. He does not take provisional pole. Bacon Soda's up on his time though. It's going to be a 1 minute 40.9. He's into the 40s. What's Danny managing? Danny is 7/10 up at the moment. What can Danny do? Very quick driver, of course, but can he get anywhere near Bacon Soda? Final corner for the German. Can he get into the 1 minute 40s? Not quite. It's a 41.1. He picks it on P2 for now. We have a Haas driver if Ransdell is down in his time, so he's not going to be improving. There's a Red Bull driver of Ali. What can he do? He comes across the line to do 42.4. He does not improve. Boulange is on a lap. He has invalidated. Where is Plum? Plum round the final corner. It looks like he may have hit some traffic, but he is 2/10 up. Can he do anything about Baker's? No, he can't. It's 800ths of a second behind. We've still got a couple of drivers on a lap. We have Betches, who is down on his time, and we have Ewan, who's finished. So that is it for qualifying. Yeah, still no updates to... there's no Grandma's house, is there? So, sorry, Grandma's house is still there, so there's still no... they haven't updated it. Yeah, you're right, Mark. But, well, Bacon Soda taking the spoils here in qualifying, out-qualifying Mr. Plum by 800ths of a second. Danny himself just a 10th back from Plum. And then you have Kamarov, top 4, separated by just 3.5 tenths. Ransdell, great effort for him in the Haas. He takes P5. We'll do a full rundown once everyone has completed their... once qualifying is over. We're just waiting on Betches, I think, who is coming into the pits for him to either retire or for the timer to run down. But a very, very quick grid here in Spa. Some of those times... I mean, to get into the 1 minute 40s at Spa, cracking effort from Bacon Soda. What a lap. So there you have it. Bacon Soda is your pole sitter for the sprint race ahead of Plum. Danny will start P3 ahead of Sergeant Kamarov. Ransdell P5 ahead of Ali Fawad Khan. Boulange starts in P7 ahead of Hyperigniter. LMB is in 9th ahead of A72. Big Perry will start 11th ahead of Whitey in 12th. And then our championship leader, Dark Mark, not getting the lap together that he wanted. He will start in P13. So he's got a bit of a comeback drive himself to attempt. And he has his teammate for company alongside him. You have Ewan starting in P15 ahead of Betches. TSD Apex in 17th ahead of Retro Ghost. And Hambo, who will start from P19 on the grid. He has got some work to do from there. So as usual, we'll probably have a little bit of a break. I don't think they have the full 5-minute break in a sprint, but they usually have a little bit of a break. So no press. Oh, and it is a wet sprint. Well, this just got interesting. Well, I wonder what the actual main race is, because I guess we have to find out who's running dry and wet setups. That is the question, because we don't know what the weather is for the main race. You know, do you go for a wet weather setup because the sprint is wet? And then what if the main race is dry, or vice versa? Do you go for a dry setup and just hope to survive in the sprint? Looking at some of the top speeds we saw, I would say maybe the main race could be dry, because we saw some pretty good top speeds, which would tell me some of these drivers are running pretty low downforce. But it is going to be a wet sprint, or at least it's a wet start to the sprint. It looks pretty moist. So I wonder if it's going to be full wets or inters. There is definitely some puddles on the track and in the pit lane. So wet race as well. So Mr. Big Perry advises a wet race as well. So maybe I'm wrong on the... obviously I know nothing. My wheel knowledge is clearly terrible. So I wonder if most will be running wet setups then. It's going to be interesting to see if anyone's gone for a dry setup for position, or whether they've gone for a wet setup because they're banking on improving their position in the race. But of course, with the long straights here, you don't want too high of a wing because you're just not going to be able to overtake anyone in the wet. So with it now being a wet race, obviously we know our grid order. What is everyone's? What's your prediction for the race? Let's get my prediction up, shall we? So obviously Bacon, Plum, Danny, Kamarov, Ransdell, and Ali, Boulange, Hyperigniter, LMB, and A72. That is your top 10. So for the victory, I can also see that Hyperigniter currently has intermediates on. Interesting, whereas everyone else has wets. Is he trying to call people's bluff, or does he think it's going to get lighter, in which case he could be quids in? It almost reminds me of the real Zandvoort race, this, where people are risking it for a biscuit. So I'm going to go I'm going to go for a third win in a row for Danny. I'm going to go for a Danny victory. I'm going to go for a Plum P2 and a Kamarov P3. That is my prediction for the race. Danny's racecraft and race pace. I just feel like of all the drivers, I mean, I've not seen him race in the wet, but I just feel like he'll keep himself out of trouble. He'll avoid the incidents. I know how quick Plum is. Bacon, super fast, but does have a tendency to have a moment. And Kamarov is always there. He's always there or thereabouts, so I do think he'll get to the podium. I think biggest good surprise of the race is going to be Dartmark, starting P13, our championship leader. He will be driven to try and hold on to his points leader at least, still keep himself in contention with these aliens up front. So I do think he's going to be our biggest good surprise and gain the most places. I think Boulange is one to look out for, always races well. And definitely is entertaining to watch when it comes to trying to make a move or trying to defend. He certainly has some pointy elbows, so you've got to earn an overtake if you're going to get past Boulange. And of course you've got Hambo at the back. You don't really know what's going to happen with Hambo. And the formation lap is underway. The mark's gone for Plum, Kamarov, Hambo, and then Dartmark. So he thinks Dartmark all the way up to P4. Oh, big sideways moment. Bacon just warming up those tyres, and Plum getting very close to the rear of him. Evening, Mr. Stroud. Hope you're doing good. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to RRF1 Monday night. So Plum for the win is what Mad Mark's saying. Kamarov for P2. Hambo to come from the back and claim a P3, and Dartmark for P4. Of course, the result of the sprint does set the grid for the main race. So do we think, if you think Plum's going to win this one, do we think Plum's going to get the double and win the second one? As let me just get the other information on. Let's have a look at the tyres there. So there's the tyres. So that's what I was talking about before. So everybody, apart from Hyperigniter, has gone for the wet weather tyre, and it is treacherous out there. So either Hyperigniter has made a glaring error here, or he's about to become the smartest person in RF1. it's literally, I mean, it looks too wet for me for that to be an Inters race, but I don't know, you know, it's wet, but not too many puddles on the racing line. If he can keep this, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is a mistake from Hyper? Or do you think he's going to pull an absolute blinder here? I mean, the one thing that points out to me as to why I think this... Oh! There we go. One thing that points out to me as to why I think this could be a bit of a mistake. Nobody else has done it. And, there is a McLaren of, I'm guessing, Bacon. Oh, yeah, Bacon. Can't park there, mate. What is he doing? Bacon has made a mistake. There's his teammate now behind him. Well, it's one way to warm your tyres up, I guess, but he will have been on the grass a bit of that, cooling them down again. So, he'll have to make his way back through. Thankfully for him, he's not disqualified himself or caused anyone else to hit him. Oh, we've got another one, Sergeant Cameron. It is wet out there. It's the formation lap, and we've seen two drivers on wet tyres, might I add, both losing it. And both very skilled drivers. And, Amarov has driven so far past his grid box, I think he thought he was on pole. He was not stopping for that, was he? Scott also gets disqualified. Hyperigniter couldn't stop on his intershod tyres. Bacon is pulling up to the line now. Are we going to get a nice... There we go. Wait for the lights. Look, but never stare. It's 3 lights, 4 lights. It's 5 lights here in Spa, and it's lights out. And away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix here in RRF1. It looks like a pretty good start from Bacon, but then he goes completely sideways off the line. A little bit of a push there on camera as Ransdell goes through it. Oh, there's a big coming together. 3 cars. And there's a reset to track for Ransdell. So that will be most likely picked up by the stewards. But you have Kamarov and Boulange involved in that as well. Oh, just be careful, boys, as they almost come together again, as Hambo already up to P12. We've got Hambo is already making a move on Ewan. Oh, and Hambo running deep and wide. Doesn't get the car stopped. But he's up to P12 now. Ewan himself up to P10 ahead of Dark Mark. The Ferrari there of A72 getting stuck. And oh, and ever opportunistic Dark Mark throws one up the inside. Lovely move from Dark Mark to get ahead of A72. He's already up to P10. Betcher's further back is making a move as well. As always in RRF1 on a Monday night, there are moves going on everywhere. Hyperigniter has made some good moves as well, as Hambo is up ahead of A72 as well. The Ferrari's heading backwards instead of forwards. Yeah, cracking start from Hyper on those intermediates. I tell you what, if it starts to dry, he's looking pretty good, as Perry is ahead of Ewan now. And further up front, we've got Plum. Oh, Plum is round. Plum has lost it. Plum, one of the picks for the victory, loses the rear, round he goes, and that is front wing damage, and we have a full course yellow, most likely a VSC, I imagine. There it is a VSC. Is anyone going to pit for intermediates? As Scott gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. I imagine it's because he's passed a stuck car. So make sure you get a clip, because hopefully they will be able to remove it. How the hell did he ghost there? Oh, it's because he was stood still. So we are back under green conditions. Dark Mark has opted to pit. So a few drivers opting to pit. So are they going to go into intermediate tyres, or are they staying on wet? So Dark Mark has gone to the intermediates. Do they think it's going to dry up? Is Hyperigniter about to pull off the strategy call of the century? Further down, look at some battles. Big Perry is all over the back of Ewan here. What can the Platypus do? Why are we looking backwards? There we go. Perry up the inside. The Mercedes squeezes him a little bit, but that's fine. Good racing there, giving each other room. The Mercedes hangs on, and Hyperigniter is out. We are not going to know. We will never know if it was the right decision, because he is out of the race. I was so hoping to find out, because he was looking like he was going to pull off the strategy call of the century. Now, is the Dark Mark going to be the man that everyone watches to see whether he has pulled off the strategy coup? Let's go on board with our leaders. So we do have a safety car now. So clearly it is too wet for Inters at the moment, or did Hyperigniter just lose it normally? Who knows? 17 viewers so far. Brilliant to see you all tuning in. It is, as always, on a Monday night. Absolute. Oh, and Plum has a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. The sprint race is not going to plan for the man who is everyone's pick for the first or second spot of the sprint race. So I imagine he's going to be putting all his effort then into the main race, because he is going to be way down. Let's see what the front two do. So Danny, of course, was my pick for the win. He's currently in P2 behind Bacon Soda. LMB, I mentioned if he is the LMB I'm thinking of, then he is currently in P3. Plum has picked up another drive-through. I imagine he is pretty sick of this now. Oh, and they're all pitting. Apart from Ali. Ali is going for track position. Some people think it is going to dry up enough for Inters. Some thinking it is better to stay on the wets. It is a sprint race. I tell you what, this is going to be super interesting. Hambo, from the back of the grid, is now P3. Who is it that picked Hambo? I think, Mark, you said Hambo would be on the podium. P3 for Hambo. Where is Dark Mark in all this? Because he pitted before. Oh, so he's actually going to lose out, because he pitted before the safety car. He pitted at the end of the VSC. So this has actually worked out horribly for the Dark Mark, because he's P13. Is he going to get Big Perry? No, he's not. So P13 for Dark Mark, so he is down a little bit. Danny is... So a change of position there. There you have it. So Bacon Soda is now your lead intermediate runner. Oh, I would have so loved for Hyperigniter to have continued and seen what happened. I'm not going to lie. I don't like to be biased. I am genuinely gutted. Because imagine if there wasn't a safety car, everyone has to pit halfway through. Hyperigniter is leading this race by almost a pit stop. And now half of the grid have gone on to Inters anyway, so it looks like Hyperigniter may have been on course to pull off one hell of a strategy call. Yeah, brain farts from Plum. we all know how good Plum is. I mean, he's got a couple of drive-throughs, and he's still going. Fair play to him, unless he's getting the practice in for the main race. He's got a couple of drive-throughs to serve once once the safety car comes in, but he's still going, which is nice to see. So we'll do a quick run through then of what everyone's at. So tyre-wise, as you can see, top 7 all on wets and Retro Ghost on wets. Everyone else now on intermediate tyres. Position changes, so Ali up 5, Apex up 15, Hambo up 16, Yoon up 11. Of course, these guys haven't pitted. The 2 Ferraris up 7 and 4 respectively. Scott up 7 places, and then you've got the pitters. So Bacon Soda down 7, Danny down 6. LMB is only down 1, just shows what a good start to the race he's had. Because even though he's pitted, he's only down 1 spot. Retro up 7, he's not pitted. Betcher's up 4. Has he pitted? Yes, he has. Darkmark is where he was at the start, as Betcher's picks up a 5-second penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. What? What a game. Ransdal is down 9, Belange down 8, but he had the incident at turn 1 with Kamarov and Ransdal. Big Perry down 5, Kamarov down 13, and Plum down 16, and with 2 drive-throughs still to be served. Oh, no, Mark. Plum knows there's never any disrespect. I've got a lot of respect for Plum's speed and pace. And is somebody else driving that Alfa Romeo tonight? Or is it because he's got a Max Verstappen helmet on? I think it's because he's got a Max Verstappen helmet on. That's my prediction anyway. Into the pits comes Scott. He is serving his drive-through and pitting on a new set of intermediate tyres. Smart move from Scott. Now this is going to be really interesting up at the front, because Ali had some good pace in qualifying, and that's his teammate as a rear gunner before Hambo can get to him, and we all know how good Hambo's pace is. So if Ali can make a bit of a break here, the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, so we're going to have 4 laps of racing. Let's see how wet it is. It does look like intermediate weather now, to be fair. Oh, I'm so gutted for Hyperigniter. He would have been leading. He would have been, I think, P2 right now, but on the right tyre. Oh. If you're in the chat, Hyper, so unlucky, mate, because obviously tricky conditions for you at the start, but look at the track now. It is light rain, and it is definitely Inters weather. These wet guys, these wet weather runners are going to have a tricky time ahead of them for the remainder of this race. I think Plum has let Scott go, obviously. Oh! He hasn't let Scott go, he's binned it again. Hambo could win this, he loves a back to front. He does look a bit of a back to front, doesn't he? Plum is having a race to forget. Now, at the start of this race, I bigged this guy up as being one of the quickest guys I know on the Xbox. I promise you all, this guy is insanely good, insanely fast. He's just having a bit of a moment, bless him. Drive-through penalty for Plum for falling too far back. Oh, bless him. He's not having fun, is he? I think he needs a bit of a cuddle, doesn't he? He definitely needs a cuddle. Look at the drifting. That is some skill there from Plum. Bit of Belgian drifting here. And he finally joins the rear of the snake, and we are going to go on board with Mr. Hambo. Ooh, don't overtake yet. So Hambo is going to want to try and get past Apex as quickly as possible so we can set after Ali. Like I said, I don't know as much about Ali, but he seemed pretty quick in qualifying. I know how quick Hambo can be. And Ali has gone. Very tentative on the wet runners through there. You can see how much they've got to tiptoe. Let's have a look at what Bacon's doing on the intermediate tyres. Oh, in fact, up at the front, I think Apex has got to move on his teammate. Apex going up the inside. Oh, I've gone off it. Apex has taken the lead from his teammate, so that is not what I expected to happen. We've got Ransdal, Boulange, Mark all getting past Retro at the back there. Let's have a quick look at what's going on here. They are side by side. Dark Mark loses out to Boulange. A72 looks to be going backwards somewhere. What's happened to A72? Plum has left the session. What's happened to A72? Oh, there he is. Facing the wrong way. So Bacon on those intermediate tyres is just driving around people at the moment, as is Danny. Yellow flag, that is the Ferrari A72 further back. Bacon now 1.7 seconds behind Ewan. Top three, I've made a bit of a break from Ewan now, as LMB has got past Whitey as well. Ransdal will be the next one to try and get himself around the Ferrari. The intermediate runners catching Ewan very quickly indeed. Yeah, hugs and burping pats. Ransdal just 2/10 behind the Ferrari. Needs to pass quickly if he's going to make this move. Bacon just 4/10 behind Ewan. We'll jump to that in a second. Just going to see if the Haas driver can make the move on the Ferrari. He's going to try and go on the outside. This is going to be a brave move because he's definitely going to run out of room there. Yep, surely he was. Let's go on board with Bacon now, who's just 2/10 of a second behind Ewan. Boulange has made it himself up to P10. Here comes Bacon Soda on the inside of Ewan. Danny going to try and follow him through. He has done. What can Danny do? Danny is going to try and make a move. Oh, I thought he was going to test it there, as Hambo looking to make a move on Ali as well. There are moves all over the place. There is a McLaren going slowly at the back there, but up the inside goes Hambo, and Hambo has tapped one of the other Red Bulls. Wide he goes. Is he going to let the other Red Bull go? I think he is. That's good. Oh, and Bacon has hit Hambo. I think Hambo was just going wide to let the Red Bull go back through, and Bacon careered into the side of him. And this is turning into absolute chaos as Danny now takes the lead of the race. There's just possessions changing everywhere. The wet runners are really struggling. Oh, and the Red Bull there putting the Haas almost into the wall as it gets very sketchy after turn one. It's creating some drama, this change of tyres, as the Haas driver does make it past the Red Bull now. And I think Boulange is going to follow him through here, and indeed he does up the inside. Boulange makes the move, nice and easy this time through. In the background there we have Whitey being passed by Darkmark, who's up into P10 on those intermediate tyres. Oh, let's catch our breath for a second, shall we? Because Ransdal, Hambo is now having to fight everybody off here. He's on the wet tyres, and he's now heading backwards. Apex is still up in the top three on those wet tyres. Great drive so far from Apex. In fact, LMB has just got past Apex. So we'll go back with Hambo, who is trying to fend off these inter-runners behind him. Wreckfest Premium Stream indeed, as the Haas of Ransdal gets past Hambo with ease. Boulange will be next in line. Is he going to drive straight round the outside of the Alpha? Nope, not quite. Darkmark joining in the fun now as well. Darkmark right on the rear end of Ali. And Boulange almost pushing Hambo around. He can't go to the inside because it's blocked off. He's going to try the outside, which then becomes the inside. He is trying every way possible. I am probably missing some moves here, but I do apologise if I do, because there's just going on everywhere. Boulange sends one up the inside there. Oh, and I've gone off it. Oh, there is contact. Oh, it's absolute chaos. It is, as Ransdal does a second reset to track. He is going to be in trouble for that, I think. Yeah. Hambo then is still P6. Boulange, I cannot work out what's going on. Boulange up the inside of Ali. I'm guessing Hambo and Boulange had a coming together. But yeah, for any admins that are watching, that is Ransdal's second reset to track in 7 laps. So well done, Ransdal. You read the league rules. Here we go then. Darkmark. Oh, and Boulange almost on the grass there. As Scott is now coming. Hambo has got past Ewan as well. Got a move going up ahead. Who's going to make the move? Round the outside goes Darkmark. Brilliant move from Darkmark into P7. Ali is going to try and hang on, but Boulogne is going to go right around the outside up into P8. Scott is going to attempt to follow him through, but can't quite make it. Perry and Kamarov fighting further back. Perry into P11, Kamarov caught in P12, but Kamarov does the switch back to the inside, gets the move done, and further behind, Perry is fending off Kamarov now. He's back ahead. Woo! And as we go further up, Dark Mark now trying to make the move the inside there of Ewan. Doesn't quite make the move stick, and Boulogne tries to make the move around the outside. Oh, was it a third reset mark? Okay, I didn't see that. I've only seen two, but if there was three, then yeah, Ransdal has not read some the league rules very well. And Dark Mark is still trying to get past Ewan here. He's on the better tyres, should get this move done, and does. Next up for Dark Mark is Hambo. Dark Mark could get himself up to P4 here. Front three have disappeared. Danny, Baker Soda, LMB well on their way. Further back, Big Perry has now got past ahead of you. We have a yellow flag for A72 at the back. And there's some moves for... There's just moves everywhere. Boulange. Oh, there's just... It's like 20 cars in one screen. As the Mercedes of Ewan runs wide. And there's contact. Crash on the start-finish straight. There is an incident. Don't know who caused it. Something's happened. Something is happening. Dartmark up to P4 now as he gets ahead of Hambo, who runs wide. The wet runners are struggling. Hambo is also ahead of Apex. Scott is ahead of Camera, but oh, there's a car in the background going all over the place. It's tricky conditions. It is tricky conditions. And it is showing. I think the wet runners are really struggling out there. So fair play to those that have stayed out. We are on the final lap. Boulange has been passed by Scott there. We have another yellow flag. It's just a Ferrari going slowly at the rear of the track. We have Sergeant Kamarov making a move up the inside of the Red Bull. He's had a good comeback drive after his turn 1 incident. He's now up to P6. Can he get Hambo before the end? That is the... He should do with those the tyre advantage. It is getting drier lap by lap, but it is still a very damp track. Oh, Perry got pinballed by everyone. I saw something happen. I just saw cars ping-ponging everywhere. He's got to go right around the outside. What a move by Sergeant Kamarov. He just held it round the outside on a tricky track where there's less grip. Had faith in the car. He has recovered from the back to P5. Boulange. Scott has got past Hambo as well. Can Boulange get him as well? Those wet tyres are really struggling. Let's quickly go to the front as Ransdal gets past Apex. Danny takes the victory in the sprint ahead of Bacon Soda, who had the incident with Hambo. LMB takes P3. Darkmark is going to come home for P4. Is Hambo going to hang on, though? That is the question. That's what we're looking for now. Is there going to be any late move? We've got a yellow flag somewhere. It is the Mercedes of Ewan. Ewan has lost it. Hambo is going to hang on, but the drive out of the corner. Is Boulange going to get him on the line? There's a crash. There's a crash on the line. Hambo down to P9. Hambo loses it before the line. Boulange gets P7. Ransdal with his multiple resets to track. I imagine he'll get a bit of a telling off for that. He finishes P8. Hambo, entertainment from the start. From last to near the front to spinning on the line, finishing P9. I need a drink. I need a feckin' drink. I think I just went about 3 octaves higher as well at the end of that race. I think I almost turned into a female. So let's get back into the deep sensual tones of a radio presenter. Vice Racing, welcome to absolute chaos, absolute carnage. I'm watching this race, attempting to follow everyone, and I don't even know what's just happened. Somebody won, somebody crashed, somebody played ping pong. Hambo did Hambo things. And of course A72's got a 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty at the very end, and then gets a penalty for not serving it. You have to love Codemasters. I mean, driver of the day, Hambo, absolutely. No, I'm going to make a new award. Entertainer of the Day. Hambo. Driver of the Day. Ooh. Let's have a look. Let me go down the timing so that our fearless leader Woodsy and Dartmark and all the other fearless leaders can see it. So there you have it. Danny gets the win in the sprint, so he will start from pole in the main race ahead of Bacon Soda, who had the incident with Hambo, who had the incident with the Red Bulls. LMB, great drive from LMB, kept out of trouble, very impressive from LMB. Darkmark, 13th to 4th, I said he was the biggest good surprise. He gets my driver of the day in the sprint at least. Kamarov recovers very well to P5. He's a definite contender for driver of the day in the sprint. Scott, Boulange, Ransdell with his resets to track. Hambo, Apex, Ali, Betches, Ewan, Whitey, Big Perry Retro, A72. Our man, give him a hug, Plum. And then, of course, started from the back, the man who I think could have won that race if he hadn't put it in the wall. He pulled off what I think would have been the best strategy call had he have kept it on the grey stuff, but unfortunately didn't. Yeah, Wreckfest and brain farts happened. Oh, it's a dry start to the race. So is it going to get wet? Oh, I love changing conditions races. It was very interesting. Rains dip, says Big Perry. So it was meant to be wet. Is it? Oh, I hope it rains. I hope it gets wet. Evening, Mr. Woodsy. Don't know if you've seen any of the sprint race, but it was absolute carnage. I think I've lost my voice. I think I turned into a female at the end. I think I've only been streaming for RRF1 for the last 2 races. So we did Zandvoort, which was the reverse grid. We did the first ever Vegas Grand Prix, and now we've got the sprint and main race double. And every single race I've commented on so far has been utterly bonkers, but in a good way. There were some incidents in that race, I imagine. There were just so many cars trying to get into one spot of track that I couldn't quite tell who caused what most of the time. So I imagine the stewards may be quite busy after that sprint race. Like I said, we did see a driver reset to the track. I saw him do it twice, but it was being caught 3 times apparently. So maybe just a reminder to some drivers, if they're reserving for the first time or racing for the first time, please read the league rules before you take part in your first race. I can imagine it was pretty fun, Mr. Marcus. You've had quite the recovery drive there. You look like you lost out under the safety car because you pitted just before it, but you've ended up coming back through to P5. So damage limitation, you finished ahead of Kamarov. Bacon, of course, finished P2, so that's going to really tighten things up at the top of the championship, which makes the main race, even more important now. As we look at this 3-way battle for the championship between Darkmark, Bacon Soda, and Kamarov. Those are your 3 people battling for the championship. Masterspread, I believe, has now reached his 3-race rule, so I guess it's up to the league admins as to whether or not he keeps his spot or not. But he's certainly giving away a championship, which is a shame to see because he's a cracking driver. You're in the hunt, Mr. Mark, because from my own personal experience, you're always bloody there at the end of the race. One way or another, no matter what happens for the first 99% of the race, you're always there at the end, digging away, getting those consistent top points finishes. I think move of the race in the last race has to be Kamarov's around the outside of Puon, around the outside of Hambo. I know they had different tyres on, but if you're going to go around the outside of there, you've got to have trust in the other driver not to completely wipe you out, and trust in yourself not to wipe the other driver out, and trust in your car and ability not to wipe yourself out. So yeah, that was my move of the race. Entertainer of the race was Hambo, just because he's Hambo. And I just think the ending of that was just poetry emotion. The way he lost the rear and slid across, nearly wiping out 2 drivers at the very end, was just, for a neutral, it was beautiful. But for drivers involved, I imagine, quite angry. But I don't think it actually affected anyone's positions. I think Boulange still got the position ahead of Hambo. I think the only question mark is Ransdal on what happens with his whether he gets a penalty for his miraculous appearing back on track. Oh, I'm steering the partner. Anywho, it looks like we will get to see some DRS action in this race. So everyone that had a wet setup on, you're about to be eaten alive. If you had a dry setup on, you are now quids in because there's no rain. Will it rain towards the end of the race? Who knows? I'm hoping it does, because mixed weather races are by far the best races to both be part of and commentate on, because it's all about strategy, it's all about thinking, it's all about skill, all things I have nothing of. So it's good to commentate on for me, but yeah, I don't really have I'm more of a Ferrari when it comes to strategy. I just don't have any. Those clown memes that you see whenever Ferrari balls up a strategy, I am one of those clowns. Start on the wheel, struggling, practice around here. Oh, that'll be Woodsy, won't it? Oh, so you're on the wheel, yes. I don't know if I have any tips for wheel users. Don't turn into a wall. What else is a good tip for... Oh, formation lap is starting. Here we go. So it's going to be Danny starting from the pole position. What is that? Annoying noise. So yeah, so 2 wins in a row for Danny, and now a sprint race as well. He is unbeaten in 3 checkered flags. Can he make it 4 checkered flag wins in a row? It's going to be a tough ask. Bacon Soda is going to be all over him. LMB looks like he's got some great race pace. Dark Mark is going to be there or thereabouts at the end. He'll probably admit himself he doesn't have the pace of those front guys, but he certainly has the consistency. Kamarov is going to be looking to make some moves after the incident at turn 1 of the sprint race between himself, Ransdal and Boulange. Scott kept his nose clean. Both Alpines, of course, didn't qualify very well, but both got good sprint results. So 4th and 6th for the Alpines. Boulange recovered to 7th. Ransdal recovered to 8th. Hambo, who started at the back, I thought was going to pull off an absolute hero and potentially win the race, but the track just dried up. It just started to dry up, and the wets were just horrible. You could see how much the wet runners were struggling. Let me get the tyres on, see what people have started on. So Danny mediums, Bacon's gone for the soft, so he's hoping to get the jump early, pull a gap, and then probably go to the hards, I imagine, unless he's going for a 2-stop. Mad Mark has gone for Hambo, Danny and Dark Mark as the podium. So Hambo from P9 to 1st. We've got Danny, the pole sitter, and then we've got Dark Mark on the podium. That's what Mark is saying. Anyone else with any predictions before they get to the start-finish line or during the race, let me know. What I wouldn't do not count out this man. Yes, he may have been on drugs in the sprint race. He may have had a few too many Southern Comfort and lemonades before the sprint race. Love you, really. But this is the main race. And this is where these quick guys earn their money. He's going for the soft tyres. Rain in 5 minutes, apparently. So everyone on the soft tyres, that's why they've gone for softs, because they think the rain's going to come quickly. Everyone on the mediums has gone for that because they don't think it's going to get wet enough quick enough. And A72, he's thinking it's not going to rain at all by starting on the hards. So let's get a good view of the start. We're going to get a nice view. Is that going to be the best one? I think it is. So 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights and 5. It's lights out here in Spa for the main race. It's a good start from Danny. It looks like Bacon Soda's got away well as well, but Dark Mark looks like he's going on the outside of the Haas, but doesn't quite make it. Kamarov, though, then goes to the inside as Dark Mark is out of position. There's a car wide in the background. It looks like Kamarov has got that move done. There's Boulange looking interested as well in the background. Hambo has got himself, so he's still in P9 ahead of Apex. LMB has got himself ahead of Bacon further up the front, which is not what Bacon needed on those soft tyres. Boulange is ahead of Dartmark as well. No movement there. Oh, there's a Haas going up the inside and there's contact. Hambo is round. No, it's not. It's Ransdal is round, sorry. And the fact that he's moving already, I'm going to take a wild guess that that is another reset to track. Admins, can you please make a note that from what I can see and from what the chat has seen, I believe that is reset to track number 4. There is no way he spun and was suddenly battling that quickly. Sorry. Hyperigniter, 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. What is going on with this game? Bacon then is currently battling with LMB. Bacon back up into P2 now. Plum already up to P11 on those soft tyres, driving right around the outside of the Red Bull. Is he going to get moved on an Apex? He is indeed. There's contact. Oh, I think Plum deserved a little bit more room there. He's been spun round. I mean, I can't really tell, but I think he probably deserved a bit more room. So it's going to be another recovery drive for Plum, unfortunately. As we head back up on the battles, looks like Ali is now on the back of his teammate. Danny sets the fastest lap. He's 6 seconds clear. Sorry, 6 seconds. Half a second clear of Bacon Soda up at the front. Ali looking very, very interested in the rear end of his teammate there. Further back, we have a move going on. It is Hyperigniter and Betches. Hyperigniter on the inside. Oh, they're going to make a move. They're going to go side by side into a ruse. Surely not. No, and Hyperigniter slots in front there. And the Williams is going to try and come back at him here. Who's got the best straight line speed? Here comes the Ferrari. There's a crash. Hyperigniter is out. I think the Ferrari tried to make a move on them both, and there's been contact. We have a safety car. Oh, Hyperigniter. What has happened there? I saw at the top of the hill, the Ferrari got the run on them both. Then as they came over the hill, there was just chaos and carnage. So there must have been contact, because it's not somewhere you lose it in the dry there. You do not lose it. So there has to have been contact from someone. A72 has lost his front wing. Plum can now catch up through the field and start his comeback drive once more, because he'd already made up about 8 places. If it's 10 seconds per reset and 1 penalty point, then I would say Ransdal is currently on 40 seconds and 4 penalty points. And he's been involved in a few incidents as well. You might want to have a word with him before his next race, or maybe give him friendly advice. It's happened between Whitey and Big Perry there, as Big Perry has a 5-second penalty for a collision. Yeah. So let's see if anyone pits. Bacon started on the softs. It's still not raining. Oh, Bacon's in the lead. Oh, he's pitting. Ooh. Are they going to risk it and put intermediates on if rain is coming, or are they going to stick the hards on? It is very grey. Let's see what they do. 5-second penalty for Hambo for speeding in the pit lane. Hard tyres. Intermediate tyres. I saw someone going into us. Who was that? That was Bacon Soda. He is rolling the dice early on. So is LMB. So is Hambo. Boulange has made a mistake. I don't think he's changed his tyres in the pits. Plum is gambling as well. He's going for the intermediates. That makes complete sense for Plum. A72 is putting medium tyres on. So that is a mistake. Unless they mean to do it. I mean, it's not raining at the moment. Yeah, if that's the case, you may just want to give him like a race ban. Just say, look, when you come back, read the rules. Because he might as well start. Oh, is that rain? It's raining! It is raining here in Spa. We are on lap 3. The rain has arrived. So everyone that has stayed out now needs to hope the safety car comes in and it stays dry enough for long enough for them to pull a gap on the inter-drivers. Otherwise, they are going to drop to the back and we're going to have a similar thing to what we had in the sprint. Different compounds creating absolute carnage. And as much fun as it is for me, I would mind there not being as much carnage. Please. I don't know, what do you guys think of the chat? Should the top 10 pit now? Should they all just box and get rid of those dry tyres because it is going to get wetter? Or is it a case of stay out for a couple of laps? Because at Spa, because it's such a long lap. Oh, there's contact. Ransdal has hit the back of Betches there. He's a bit of a loose cannon, this guy, isn't he? Like I say, I don't really know Ransdal. I've never seen him race. I have a feeling the stewards may be having words with him after this one about his about some of the rules. Is the safety car going to be in this lap? The dry runners will want it to be in this lap, so they can try and get a lap under their belt on the dry tyres. Oh, it's the first lap under the safety car, isn't it? So it won't be in. So surely they have to pit. They have to pit, surely. What are they going to do? No, they're staying out. They're all staying out. They're all going for track position. Oh no, some people are pitting now that were more in the midfield. They are getting out of the way. So, the question is, Danny, our race leader, our winner of the sprint, is this a big ball strategy call? Or has he just thrown away the victory? Because Bacon Soda is only 6 places back in P7 with LMB and Kamarov. And that's the other question as well, is if it doesn't get any wetter than this, then the dry runners should be okay. Darkmark currently in P2. His 2 championship rivals of Kamarov and Bacon Soda are P7 and P9, and on what I believe to be the correct tyre now. Position changes. So at the moment, Danny is where he was, because obviously we saw Bacon pit. Darkmark up 2, Scott up 3, Apex and Ali up 6. Betch is up 6, and then you've got the guys that pitted of Bacon and LMB both down 5, Sergeant Kamarov down 4, Ewan and Whitey both up 3, Ransdal down 4, Retro Ghost up 3, Perry up 1, Boulange down 8. He's had some fun in these 2 races, that's for sure. Plum up 2 places. Like I said, his recovery drive is starting all over again. A72 was involved in that incident with Hyper Igniter. We don't know whose fault it was. Didn't see it. And then Hambo down 9 and at the back of the grid. And yeah, anyone on hard tyres should have pitted, because those tyres are going to have 0 temperature, 0 grip. They are just going to be horrible to drive in. Unless, in which case, they are on the correct tyre. Because they'll just go straight to the end. So many different strategies. It's hard to tell who is right. Let's go on board with Darkmark. Let's just see what the track looks like. It's green is light, isn't it? It's still dry. It is a dry track still, and is there any spray? That's the question. No spray. It's just about keeping temperature in your tyres, which is why the hard tyres are going to really struggle. Evening, Wilco. Hope you're doing good. 15 people so far enjoying the chaos and carnage here in Sparta. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to go on board with Bacon Soda. It looks like it's getting wetter, but it's still a dry track. Question is, when will Danny go? Oh, there's the spots on the track. That usually tells me it's getting wet enough for inters. There are spots on the track now. What do the front guys do? They are staying out. So let's see, on board with Bacon, what is the better tyre to be on? Are the dry runners going to be able to pull away from the intermediate runners? Yeah, good, thanks Wilco. Been a very entertaining race so far. There's some action at the back as something has happened to Big Perry. It looks like he's lost it on the exit of turn 1. He is heading backwards. Plum all up to P13 has got Boulange. Bacon all over the back. In fact, LMB all over the back of Bacon here. He's going to try... Oh, no. There's no room at the end there. Oh, and Bacon has run wide. And round the outside goes LMB forces Bacon into the mistake, and LMB now has your provisional lead if the intermediates are the right tyre. And looking at the pace advantage some of these guys have, I'd say it probably is. Let's see how he does here with Betches in front. Oh, it does look a bit of a handful still though, doesn't it? Yeah, lovely move from LMB there. I've been very impressed with LMB. I said, I think a couple of years ago, or a year ago, under the pandemic, I seem to remember an esports driver for, I can't remember which team, called LMB. But I don't remember the strikes bit, but I've been very impressed with LMB so far, as Plum is making moves for fun here. He's now overtaken the hard run. He's up to P12. Watch out for Plum coming through this field. Let's go back up here with Ali, who is looking to get a move on his teammate. These two seem to be nose to tail all throughout the sprint and the main race. Is he going to make a move? He goes around the outside. Is he going to hang it round? No, he just goes for the cut back here to the chicane. So he's going to be on the outside of the chicane now. The two Red Bull drivers, no team orders there. Betches has run wide and he's still not to pit. It looks like the dry tyre runners are starting to struggle. Ali has been overtaken by LMB now. Further back, A72 has got Hambo. Hambo on those hard tyres, he needs to get rid of those. And Retro's gone! Oh, Retro, where is Retro? Is Retro's car still moving then? Or did he retire in the pits? I don't know. Anywho, we have Apex and LMB. So LMB now ahead of Apex. Plum has already got past Betches. I think the next move we're going to be looking at is Ransdal on Betches. Betches heading backwards on those dry tyres. Bacon has got past Apex, and here comes Ramsdale up the inside. He's going to get that move done. Oh, and he's been forced off. Betches forces Ransdal off the track. Did he pick up damage there? I don't think he did this time. Ransdal on the receiving end of a bit of close comfort. Retro was on to... Oh, he DNF'd on turn one. Okay. Fair enough. We have a yellow flag further back. It looks like a Ferrari going slowly. It is Plum. What's happened to Plum? Big crash. Plum and Ali together. Betches out of the race. There is absolute carnage. Plum, every time he tries to make a comeback, something happens, and he is now towards the rear end of the field. It is a VSC. Danny has a 6... I wonder how much time you lose under a VSC pit stop. Could Danny pit for intermediates now? Let's have a look. So LMB is 11.3 seconds back from Danny. Danny is pitting under the VSC. So let's see where LMB comes out. Yep, they're all opting to pit. These guys at the front. Danny is on his way. Yep, Danny. So they are going to retake the lead. Scott gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Danny is on his way out of the pits now, so he's going to be P6. Sorry, no, he's come out P4, sorry. So that's worked out quite nicely for Danny, and he's on fresher intermediates. Fast lap so far held by Danny. I imagine that will stay. I think you are, Woodsy. There have been lots and lots of incidents, to say the least. Let's go board with Hambo. Oh, here we go. Hambo making the move on A72. There is another move going here. It is Plum going up the inside and getting the move done. So Plum up to P9 now. A lot of people pitting off those inters. Plum seems pretty content to stay on the medium tyres though. And is now looking to see if he can move on the hard tyre run of Hambo. Bacon Soda all over the back of LMB. We'll go to that battle shortly, but I don't want to miss the inter-team battle at Alfa Romeo here of Hambo and Plum. On paper, that was one of the quickest teams on the grid, but for one reason or another, it has not worked out for them. Betches has left the session. That's because he crashed. A quick look back here at Scott, who's looking for a move on Ali. He's on the intermediate tyres. Ali on the dry mediums. Oh, and he gets blocked off, and through goes Apex. And the two Red Bulls are now fighting, and that's Apex round the outside of his team. That has worked out beautifully for Apex, and probably quite frustrating for Scott, as Danny is now on the back of Sergeant Kamarov. Fresher tyres for Danny, of course. Is he going to look for a move into turn 1? Go back in a second because Plum looks to be looking for a move, and here we go, around the outside goes Danny. Is Kamarov going to be able to hold on? Lovely move around the outside. I think Danny might have got this one done. He does. Great move from Danny. A72 is currently battling. Oh, cuts right back in front of the Alfa Romeo. Plum currently in P8. We've got a yellow flag. It is... Oh, it's Plum. Plum has gone. Plum has gone. Where has he gone? Oh, he's lost it on the exit of turn 1. That is a shame. It has not gone to plan for Plum. So Plum out of the main race. We have a safety car. Now, what do the other Interrunners do? That is the question. It has been a very scrappy main race so far. Sprint race went as expected in wet conditions. It was always going to be chaos and carnage. This has been pretty scrappy at times. And I think it's going to be about... If you keep yourself out of trouble for the longest, you're going to be quids in. Dark Mark currently running in P7. So your championship contenders, as it stands... are running in P7 for Dark Mark, P4 for Kamarov, and P2 for Bacon. Oh, okay, sorry LMB. Well, incredibly good pace. If you're not the LMB I'm thinking of. Great Raptor race off so far. I said it, I've definitely not seen your race before then, but very impressive. Hopefully you race RRF1. Keep racing in RRF1, because I think good clean drivers like yourself are hard to find, good sir. And so far from what I've seen, very impressed. But you're going to have to put up with a bit of pressure behind, because you've got a McLaren, an AlphaTauri and a Williams who all want what you have, and that is P1. No practice is better. No pressure then. So what do these guys do? 5-lap-old Inters. Do they pit? It is a no for LMB. It is a no for Bacon. I imagine they'll... Oh, no. Kamarov is pitting. So Kamarov is going to get some fresh Inters on so he can go to the end of the race. As is Ewan. Dark Mark is going to stay out because his tyres are pretty fresh. Ransdal pits. A72 stays out. Hambo on those hard tyres is staying out. Can someone just tell Hambo... it's raining. Ewan is into the pits as well. Yeah, they're all pitting now. Ali will come in and get rid of the mediums. Which means... Oh no, they've put Ewan onto some fresh hards. They've put Ewan onto fresh hard tyres. Oh, he is going to be livid. You know why they've done that? Because you're wearing a Max Verstappen helmet in a Mercedes car. I told you to change it. No, you don't listen to me though, do you? Ewan. That's what you get. You wear a Max Verstappen helmet, the Mercedes team will sabotage you. Boulange is staying out on his 3-lap-old hards. Interesting calls. Ali has gone on to hard tyre. Is it going to dry up? Is that what some of these guys are thinking? What did Kamarov go into? So Kamarov is on fresh intermediates. And he's not really lost too much out of that. He's come out in P5 when he was P3. So he's only lost out to Danny and Darkmark, who were both on fresher inters than him anyway. And now Kamarov has the freshest of the intermediates. So that's your top 5 at the moment. That's your battle lead. LMB and Bacon on 6-lap-old inters. Danny and Darkmark on 2-lap-old inters. And Sergeant Kamarov on fresh intermediates. A72 in 6th currently. He is on 5-lap-old intermediates. Hambo, the absolute nutcase, on 5-lap-old hard tyres. TSC Apex, 2-lap-old inters. Ewan fresh hards, which I imagine is a mistake from the team. Ransdal on his fresh inters. Boulange, 3-lap-old hard tyres. He's almost as nuts as Hambo. Whitey on his 2-lap-old inters. Scott on his fresh inters. Ali has gone on to fresh hards, so we could see a few people pitting again here. We'll see what they do. Let's stay with Hambo. See what Hambo does. Penalty at the moment. Whitey has that 5-second penalty and Ransel has a 3-second penalty. Apart from that, no one else has a penalty. What does Hambo do? The Ferrari pits, the Haas pits. Hambo stays out. Okay. Position changes so far. So is it going to dry out? There must be some sense behind the madness. There must be some thinking behind some of these. Let's get the tyres back on. So there are 3 guys on hard. What's LMB going on to? LMB. So LMB has gone on to hard tyres. So he has sacrificed the lead of this race to go on to hard tyres. Maybe Hambo isn't such a nutter after all. Maybe he's the smartest guy on the field and is about to pull off a worldie of a strategy. Ewan's in a great place as well. He's on fresher hards. Boulange there as well. It's really interesting. It's almost like no one really knows quite what to do with the weather. Obviously, Bacon stayed out on his warn inters. Danny and Darkmark still there in 2nd and 3rd, and Kamarov, he pitted for fresh inters. But then you have LMB pitting for fresh hard tyres. Now, the question is, it is wet. You can see the track is wet. Is that a mistake from LMB or the Haas team? Or is it going to dry up? Because there are 4 drivers now on hard tyres. So it's not like one driver has stayed out for shits and giggles. 4 drivers are on the hard tyres. We will find out who has made the right call. Because the safety car should be in this lap. Oh, excuse me. My apologies, I've just been slurping on my juice box. So Bacon then will become the de facto pace setter. He will set the pace. He is keeping it nice and slow. So all of those hard runners cannot get temperature in their tyres. Whitey gets a 5-second penalty for having a collision with Boulange. So he must have gone into the back of him there because he's behind on track. So let's have a look what this looks like on board Hambo on those hard tyres. And they've gone. They have gone. Subject camera already looking interested in Darkmark. How does it look on those hard tyres? Very tentative on the throttle. The Apex already just driving around him. Looks like it may have been the wrong... Oh no, but Hambo's going to come straight back at him, is he? And behind you have some move there by Ransdell on you, and the hard tyres are struggling. We'll go to the front if that move is going to come off, because it looks like Danny is shaping up for a move on Bacon Soda. And in the background, Kamarov on Darkmark. Kamarov going to make the move. He's going for the outside. And yet Kamarov gets the move done nicely into the end of the Kemmel Straight. Hambo hanging on 2 seconds back now from the front 4. We'll keep our eye on the gaps for those hard tyre runners. LMB is dropping back from Big Perry as well, so it looks like it may be the wrong call. But has it stopped raining? It has! It's stopped raining here in Spa. So the question is, how far up the road can these intermediate runners get before the hard tyre runners become the better tyre? As Apex and Ransdell both get ahead of Hambo, who is staying well out of the way. What has happened to Hambo? Hambo's had a moment somewhere. He got well out of the way then, didn't he? So we have... Who's close by? So Danny for the lead, I think. Here we go. Danny on Bacon. The gap is coming down. He's got Kamarov closing him as well. Ewan and Boulange looking pretty good on their hard tyres at the moment. None of the top three willing to risk a move into the chicane at this stage. And into the pits comes Bacon and Darkmark. They are pitting for fresh, dry tyres, I imagine, and there is a safety car. Why is there a safety car? Oh, Ali's out. Ali's out of the race. Sorry, I missed that. So, Ewan will effectively lead this race. Hambo's gone on to soft tyres. It's a big ask for soft tyres, but we will be under the safety car for a couple of laps. Well, we wanted a changing condition race. Now, the thing that's benefited the leaders here, the two that stayed out and didn't pit, is that the safety car did not beat them out. That was crucial, so they shouldn't really lose track position here. The question is, though, LMB, he should be in a net P3 now. Will he get Danny and Kamarov? I think that's what we need to look at. I think he will do. And then it's whether or not Bacon and Darkmark get Danny and Kamarov. It's really interesting here. Different strategies again. So Darkmark's gone to hards. Bacon's gone on to mediums. Hambo, of course, went into softs. So multiple strategies once again. This race providing twists and turns at every avenue. So let's go with Danny then. I imagine he will be coming into the pits this lap. So the safety car at its earliest point will most likely not be until lap 14. So I think if you've got a fresh set of mediums, I think that's the way to go here, you know. If you've got a fresh set of mediums, that would be the tyre I'd be putting on. I'm not sure the softs will keep the pace for long enough. And here they come into the pit. So let's go on board with LMB. The LMB, of course, pitted under the last safety car. Under the VSC, sorry, and gambled for hard tyres. I think he's going to get them, you know. So the next question is, what about Bacon and Darkmark? Danny and Kamarov are making their way out now. It's going to be very tight. There it is. Ooh, he just gets Kamarov. Kamarov ahead of Darkmark. So it is as you were, Danny. So LMB, Danny, Bacon and Kamarov and Darkmark. Those were your top 5 cars. But you now have the 2 Mercedes who gambled earlier on in this race are leading this race now on the right tyre. Boulange on 7-lap-old hard, so he is going to be struggling towards the end. But he has track position, and if these two can work together, then potentially they could... Oh, I say work together. Boulange has just almost careered into the back of his teammate. That would have not gone down well with Toto Wolff. There would have been a few more smashed desks if Boulange had have rear-ended Ewan at that point. Now, if you're Ewan, knowing that your teammate is behind you and that you've got a penalty, do you let him go, help him out, work together? LMB is going to be all over them. I think you have to say that Bacon is probably now, if you're looking at tyres, probably the favourite for this now. But it all depends how quickly these guys can get through the guys on the more worn tyres. Have a look at positions gained now on this crazy race. So you can see there Ewan up 12 places and that is net first place. He is in proper first place. Safety car is in this lap, so lap 14. So we'll have 9 laps to go when the safety car comes in. Ewan up 12 places. He's our biggest gainer so far. Our biggest loser so far is Scott, down 4. Yeah, a few ups and downs down the grid. A lot of people making positions because of the DNFs. Dartmark down 3. But he is right behind his 2 championship rivals. So the question is, when does Ewan go? Boulange just positioning his car to make Ewan think about where he has to position his. He's going to leave it late, is Ewan. He's not gone yet. But now he's gone. And it's a good restart from LMB. LMB right on his tail. Let's get the tyres back up. I'll be unable to make a move at that point, though. Bacon just running a bit wide onto the exit. There needs to be careful with regards to warnings. Oh, these guys are line astern. They have dropped Kamarov by seconds. So Kamarov may have been a little bit more asleep on the restart there. Bacon on those medium tyres just hanging a bit back as they all jostle for position, try and weave their way out of the train and around the outside. Doesn't quite make it stick. But the AlphaTauri is going to try and make a move there. Danny tried to make a move on the inside. There's contact as Bacon Soda tried to make a move. That was a little bit more chaotic than before. And Danny trying to hold on as Bacon drives around the outside. It's a lovely move from Bacon. Bacon slots in between LMB and Danny. Bacon on those grippier medium tyres. Hambo further back has got Pax ahead of Scott. But well, that got a bit close and personal, didn't it? I only saw the after effects. I thought he lost it on the exit of turn 1. So maybe I got that wrong. I only saw a spinning car hitting the wall. Yeah, I didn't see the afters. He's had a very frustrating race, I believe. No excuses if he's done it on purpose, of course, but he's probably not a happy bunny. Bacon then is all over the back of LMB himself. Boulange looking for a move on his teammate. But not quite close enough, and Bacon goes for the dive. He makes it, but he's going to have to become the outside of the final corner. Slide there from LMB, and another lovely move from Bacon. Further back, you've got the Dartmark making moves. He's up to P8, fighting off Ransdell at the moment, which drops down to P9. So on the inside of turn 1, and Ransdell gets the move done. And it's a little bit sketchy there from Dartmark as he loses the rear. That's going to allow Hambo to get a run on him as they head up towards Eau Rouge. Is Hambo going to stick it up the inside? He is! A nice move there from Hambo. Further up, we've got LMB looking for the move back on Bacon Soda, who's also looking for the move on Boulange. And they're all going to go into here in the sideways moment there for Boulange. Was there contact? Ransdell has got past Apex. These 4 nose to tail as the McLaren goes up the inside. I think lag is causing a bit of a problem here. Bacon up the inside of Boulange. We said it in Zandvoort, if you've got to make a move in Boulange, you've got to earn it. Boulange keeps his nose in and keeps the place ahead of Bacon. But Bacon does the switch back at the corner on no name. He's going to be on the inside of the fast left-hander. Through he goes. Wide goes Boulange. Great racing between these guys. Incredible stuff as Hambo picks up a penalty. And through goes LMB as well as he takes advantage of that battle. Hambo and Apex now battling side by side. Woo! Further up because Kamarov is battling with Danny here. They are side by side. There's a Haas of LMB. In fact, they're all there still. The outside of Boulange. So Kamarov goes to the outside. He's forced wide. And there's contact. Round goes Boulange. And there is a traffic jam here. Through the... My goodness. Oh my goodness. I have no words. Dartmark is back down to P9, so I think he may have come off a bit worse, avoiding all of that. He did not make up positions. He's ahead of Ransdell on P8. Ewan, meanwhile, is about to pass, and they're going to go 3 wide here. LMB going for the lead on Bacon. DRS wide open. LMB is going to try and take the lead. He's on the inside. Great clean racing between these two. Bacon and LMB keeping it clean, and Ewan drops to P3. Hambo currently up in P4. He's on the soft tyres trying to catch these guys. Scott, meanwhile, has just got ahead of Ransdell. So Scott up into P9 in the second Alpine. It is chaos and carnage again. Yeah, I didn't really know what to say then. I can't work out if Boulogne just didn't give enough room or if Kamarov has kept his nose in. But yeah, that's why I'm just a commentator and you guys are going to be stewarding because I don't have to make those decisions. Boulogne just picked up a 3-second time penalty now as well. He's down to P12. Danny, meanwhile, is on the back of Kamarov still. So 6th and 7th for these two. They haven't quite made the way forward like they were hoping to. Danny, of course, was battling with LMB and Bacon earlier on. He's lost some positions and places after Kamarov and Boulange came together and they held everyone up at the chicane. Yeah, I could do with a beer. So up the inside goes Danny on Apex. Should get that move done. He'll become the outside now, the final corner. And Apex keeping his foot in. Nice there. Nice defending there from Apex. Is Danny going to get the move done into turn 1? He is going to try as Boulange retires in the pits. So Boulange not happy with how that race was going. Is that an indication of what happened or just that he's not happy with how the race was going? So Danny then is in DRS of Kamarov, so we'll get the benefit and try and close himself back up. Hambo is closing on Ewan, and Bacon has pulled away from LMB now. So it looks like Bacon is going to be returning to the top of the championship unless Kamarov and Dartmark can start making up some moves. Scott, meanwhile, has got past his teammate. So Scott has overtaken his teammate and championship leader, Dartmark, who drops down to P9 now. We have a yellow flag. That's just Boulange's cars coming out of the pits. So can Dartmark bite back at his teammate? Because every point is going to count for the Dartmark. But it does look like at this stage of the race that Scott might have a little bit more pace to try and go after Apex. And maybe the Alpines can work together to try and get a little bit higher up the field. Big Perry picks up a 3-second time penalty. The penalties are starting to come through now. It's great to see. So A72 still carrying on. Despite being 18 seconds down, still carrying on. Points mean prizes, remember. And he's still doing well for Ferrari. It's 11th and 12th for Ferrari at the moment. Still on board with Dartmark. Scott already has caught up to the back of Apex, and he's bringing Dartmark along with him. So the two Alpines will hopefully gain one more position in this race as Bacon Soda sets the fastest lap of the race on those medium tyres. No let up from the McLaren driver. He wants this victory. Remember, he had the incident in the first race which denied him any chance of a sprint win. And into the pits comes a Haas. That is Ransdell who's coming to the pits. Has he got damage? That's 4 laps to go. Is he going for fastest lap maybe? Let's go on board with Hambo now. Here we go. Hambo up through. Oh, he nearly lost the rear. And it picks up a time penalty in the process. So Hambo now is got DRS. He should get the move done fairly easily. But how close was that to a huge moment for Hambo? He's up to P3, but now needs to pull that gap if he wants to try and stay on the podium. I've just seen that it's 10:15. It's getting quite late. So there will be no podium interviews after this race, unfortunately, because I need to shoot pretty soon. But we will stay here right at the end of the race. I will not deny you a grandstand finish just because I'm old and want some Horlicks. That's not the reason, I promise you. But yeah, Hambo then up to P3, then needs to now pull a... Does he need to pull a gap? We'll wait to the end. They both got penalties, both Hambo and Ewan. Kamarov, though, has a chance to get back on the podium here. He's had a very eventful sprint and main race, and he could still come away with a podium. He's 1.2 behind Ewan. Both Hambo and Ewan have penalties. Still can't believe how Hambo has not absolutely killed himself up Eau Rouge there. That looked like a huge moment. But he's managed to keep it going in some form of straight line and is now out of DRS of Ewan and hoping to catch LMB now, who's on those hard tyres. Meanwhile, Kamarov and Danny have now caught the back of Ewan. We have a yellow flag. It is A72 who is round. So I wonder if A72 and Big Perry have come together actually there because... happening here? I don't know. Here we go then. Kamarov, Ewan and Danny. They're going to be 3 wide down the Kemmel Straight. Kamarov gets the move done. Danny is going to try and follow him through. Is Danny going to try and get Kamarov as well? He's out of ERS though, is Danny. Kamarov has still got 32%. Meanwhile, Scott has got past Apex. I missed that one. Dark Mark is hoping to see if he can follow his teammate through. Can Dark Mark gain up another place? Every point counts in this race. Big Perry is into the pits, as is Ransdall again. Meanwhile, up front, Hambo has caught the back of LMB. So Hambo on 7-lap old softs. He's probably going to hope that LMB can pull him away, but Kamarov at the moment looks favourite to gain that 3rd spot. It really is. I love net flights. For anyone who wants to book their long-haul travel, whether it's a flight or a holiday, book with net flights. That is the place to book with. Get in touch with me. Whether it's Orlando, Australia, Thailand, A72 has retired. Is that going to bring out late safety car? It is not. No safety car. But A72 is out of this race. But yeah, for any long-haul travel needs, you give me a shout. Net flights will sort you out. In the meantime, Hambo is looking for a move on LMB. He's 1.7 seconds clear of Kamarov. He's got his DRS wide open. Not sure he's got enough laps to get the gap to LMB and hold on to a podium, but we will soon see. Further back, Dark Mark is still trying to put pressure on Apex. DRS wide open in the slipstream. Here comes the Dark Mark. Is he going to make a move up the inside at the end of the Kemmel Straight? He is. Apex is going to try and hold it. Great racing from these two. Lovely move from Dark Mark. Gets the move done. He's going to have to go defensive into the hairpin. And there it is. Dark Mark moves himself up to P8 in this race. LMB hanging on to the back of Hambo. Dark Mark then up to P8. Apex still on the back of him. Oh yeah, we'll get Wilco Stewart over to the UK, no problem. I mean, he has to pay for it, but we'll get him there. Danny now is on the back of camera as well. The battle for what is effectively P3 in this race. I think LMB is currently in net P2, I think. So Kamarov versus Danny for the final podium spot, unless Hambo can pull out a big gap on Sergeant Kamarov. Or unless Danny and Sergeant Kamarov start squabbling, that could give him the gap. LMB, meanwhile, looking for a move on Kamarov. Nothing happening there. Keep our eye on both these battles, and LMB goes for the inside move on Kamarov. Hambo is going to lose the podium spot here and drop down to about P5, I think. But he is on the back now of LMB. What's really helped Kamarov is I think Kamarov has got into the DRS. He has indeed. Hambo has got back ahead of LMB. So that means Danny cannot get the move done on Sergeant Kamarov. These four are now going to be nose to tail to the end of this race. Meanwhile, Apex is looking to see if he can come back at Dark Mark. Nothing happening on this occasion. Dark Mark looks like he's pretty set in P8. Ransdall gets the fastest lap of the race, stealing that. So it's a fastest lap point for the Haas team. 3-second time penalty for Whitey, currently running in P10. That will affect his race as Ransdall is 33 seconds further back. So we'll stick with this battle right to the end. I will jump over to Bacon in a second. He's driven a faultless race. I almost feel guilty that I can't do the podium interviews after this one. Very good point. Very good point. So here we go. Hambo. Is he going to be able to hold on to this P2 on track? Because LMB doesn't need to overtake him, but he's going to try and do it. He's going to go around the outside. Try and get the move done on Hambo. Runs a bit deep there. Kamarov's going to try and do a switchback on them both. Hambo's going to get it on track. It's a win for... I thought that was the last lap. That's awkward. Bacon Soda then starts the final lap of the Belgian Grand Prix. Hambo is currently in P2. LMB has Kamarov. Who is going to get P2 on track? These four are separated by 0.4 of a second. Who's going to come out on top? How is there not going to be contact here? All four of these are going to go nose to tail. The Williams is trying to squeeze through. Kamarov is coming through. The AlphaTauri. There's contact. There is contact. And round goes Hambo. Hambo is the one that loses out. Danny is P4. Ewan moves up to P5. Hambo is not going to be happy. Bunny there. It's hard to tell what was going on. LMB currently P3. Kamarov has moved up to P2. So it looks like Kamarov is going to... I think Kamarov is going to get the lead. Oh, Kamarov picks up a penalty! On the final lap, Kamarov has picked up a penalty. LMB is going to inherit P2. Danny will inherit P3. Woo! Drama to the end. Kamarov is going to be livid with himself for that. He's done all the hard work to bring himself back up to contention, to get this P2 on merit. And he picks up a penalty on the final lap by just drifting wide. LMB is looking for a move on Kamarov. He doesn't need to make the move, but he's going to try it around the outside. Kamarov is going to hold onto it for now. But LMB wants it on track, though. LMB gets it on track. Kamarov finishes P4. Oh, Danny! Danny got LMB on the line. Danny gets P2. Where did that come from? What an exit Danny must have had on the final corner. Bacon gets the win ahead of Danny. LMB gets P3. Sergeant Kamarov in P4. Scott in P5. Darkmark gets P6 in the end. So good recovery points for Darkmark, despite not being his easiest Grand Prix, he'll probably admit. Apex gets P7. Ewan down to P8. Hambo. What could have been, I think, for Hambo. I said when four of them were 0.4 apart going up Eau Rouge, there's no way they were going to get through that without one person losing out. And it looked like there may have been contact between the AlphaTauri and the Haas. AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo. But it was so hard to see. It all happened so quickly. And Danny has managed to pick up a P2. Whiter then gets P10 ahead of Ransdall, who has spun it across the line. And then Big Perry finishes the race. Great for carrying on. Gets P12. I will do a quick... I just need to get the timings and the finishing races of the main race for Woodsy. Then I need to shoot. So there will be no podium interviews tonight, unfortunately. I imagine there'll be some frustrated drivers after that one, but it was a very entertaining race still. And hopefully for next week, we have a little bit less carnage. But there it is. It is the first time I've commentated on a race in RRF1 that has not had the German Danny winning the race. So it is a win for Bacon Soda. I'm not sure if that puts him back top of the championship. I think it may do with Kamarov dropping down to P4 with that penalty on the last lap. I'm sure we'll find out in a few days' time when Woodsy gets the tables updated. But there you have it. Let me get to the main race. So Bacon wins the race by almost 9 seconds from Danny, who gets P2 on the line ahead of LMB and Sergeant Kamarov, who picks up that penalty in the final lap. Scott ends up with P5 ahead of Darkmark and Apex. Ewan, with that 3-second time penalty, drops down to P8. Hambo, with that incident on the start of the final lap with some of the other drivers, drops to P9. Whitey gets P10 ahead of Ransdall, who of course will be investigated after the race for his resets to track. Big Perry is finishing in P12. Our DNFers, our crashers, you have A72, Boulange retired in the pits, Ali, Plum, Betchers, Retro Ghost, and Hyperigniter, who looked on for a promising couple of races, but it wasn't meant to be. So, thank you all for tuning into this race. Again, apologies I can't do the podium interviews this week. I just don't have the time. I need to run. I'm not sure where we are next week, but I'm sure we'll find out in the chat. Cracking drive. Well done to all the drivers. And see you next week.